Hello everybody, hope you're staying safe at home. I thought that I would share one of my favourite all-time books, and that is Funny Bones by Janet and Alan Allberg. There's lots of repeating language in this story, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. This is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. In the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. Down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. There was a big skeleton, a little skeleton, and a dog skeleton. And here they are. One night, the big skeleton sat up in bed. He scratched his skull. "What shall we do tonight?" he said. "Let's take the dog for a walk," said the little skeleton, "and frighten somebody." "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark cellar, climbed the dark, dark staircase, and stepped out into the dark, dark street. They walked past the houses and the shops, they walked past the zoo and the police station, and they went into the park. Can you tell the person sitting next to you the places that they walked past? Well done, guys. Houses, shops, the zoo, and even the police station. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "What shall we do now?" he said. "Oh, let's play on the swing," said the little skeleton, "and throw a stick for the dog and frighten somebody." "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, and the dog skeleton walked around the dark, dark pond, past the dark, dark tennis courts, and up to the dark, dark swings. The big skeleton and the little skeleton played on the swings, and they threw a stick for the dog. Suddenly, something happened. The dog skeleton chased the stick, tripped over a park bench, bumped into a tree, and ended up as a little pile of bones. Oh no. "Look at that," the big skeleton said. "He's all come to pieces. What shall we do now?" "Oh, let's put him back together again," the little skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton put the dog skeleton together again. They sang a song while they did it. The toe bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone's connected to the backbone. Oh dear, what's happened, guys? They got everything mixed up. "Oh, is that a toe bone?" the little skeleton said. "Where does this one go?" said the big skeleton. When they had finished, the big skeleton said, "Oh, that dog looks a bit funny to me." "So he does," said the little skeleton. "We've got his tail on the wrong end and his head." "Oh," said the dog skeleton. And of course, Fow is woof backwards. And as you can see, he looks very, very funny, doesn't he? At last, the dog was properly put back together again, and the big skeleton and little skeleton sang another song. These bones can bark again, can run around in the park again, can frighten people in the dark again." The big skeleton scratched his skull. "That reminds me," he said. "We forgot to frighten somebody." "Oh, let's do it on the way home then," said little skeleton. "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark swings, went out into the dark, dark town, and tried to frighten somebody. But the trouble was, there wasn't anybody. Everybody was in bed. Even the policemen in the police station were in bed, and the animals in the zoo. Of course, the skeleton animals were awake, and as you can see, lots of skeleton animals there, so I wonder if you can identify them for me. You could pause the video, couldn't you, and see if you can see which ones are which. Well done. "Let's have a ride on the elephant skeleton," the little skeleton said. "Let's have a word with the parrot skeleton." The big skeleton scratched his skull. Let's keep out of the way of the crocodile skeleton," he said. When they were back in the street, and when they could not find anybody to frighten, the big skeleton said, "What shall we do now?" The little skeleton scratched his skull. Let's frighten each other, he said. Oh, that's better than nothing. Good idea, the big skeleton said. So after that, the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton. The little skeleton frightened the big skeleton. The big skeleton and the little skeleton frightened the dog skeleton. And the dog skeleton frightened them. Boo, meow, woof. They hid round corners and frightened each other. They climbed up lampposts and frightened each other. And they jumped out of dustbins and frightened each other. All the way home. And that is how the story ends. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. In the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. And down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. They still do. The end. Now, that story is quite an old story. It was written quite a long time ago, but I think it really does stand the test of time. It's still one of my favourites and I love sharing it with you. So, I hope that you enjoyed it. We'll see you again very, very soon. Stay safe, okay? And we will see you soon. Bye-bye.